Hello, my fellow writers. My name is Rachel Jank, and several of you have seen my posts on this group, and I decided to do a video for a couple of reasons, one of which is so that, hey, you can see my face, and this is who I am. I'm a real person. And the other is that I just think that this little prompt translates a lot better to a video or a screen. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we'll kind of see what comes of it. So to start, this prompt is called Schedule of Our Day, and this comes from a C3WP or a College Community and Career Writers Program demonstration that I was part of. I was a student in the demonstration. So it was demonstrated to me by Ohio Writing Project's Beth Reimer. And so I'm going to be doing something very similar to you with a couple of tweaks, as we always do as teachers. We take something that we benefit from or see benefit for our students, and we tweak it to fit the needs of the day. And so I am just going to go right ahead and talk through what is this prompt about Schedule of Our Day. I have my notebook with me. I have my little script of this video, and then I'm going to be showing you my own writing, and then I'll be asking you at various times to pause and do some writing of your own. So one of the reasons I chose Schedule of Our Day is because I have found it personally helpful in specifically generating essay topics or focusing a topic within an essay, or even it can help expand one of the topics that you're looking at. So you'll see how that can happen as we go through. And several of you in your introduction said that you wanted to do essays or kind of memoir types, or these weaving of both genres into a piece, which is a style of writing that really excites me and I personally like as well. And I think doing a Schedule of Our Day can also provide really rich fodder for those types of writings. And if you're not doing that style of writing, you can decide to see where this takes you, or you can just decide to do what you want. You know, you're the writer, you get to decide. And so as we talk about the Schedule of Our Day, when I say Schedule of Your Day, you get to decide the day. So it can be a typical school day, and that's what I tend to use when I use this in my classroom. But because of where we're at in the summer, some of you might want to leave school behind. So this might be a schedule of a summer day. And it also could potentially be the schedule of a significant day in your life. And again, you can decide what significant is. It can be those big events, very external significant, or it can be those imperceptible inner world significant times. And so you can schedule that out and kind of see, is there anything to mine from that day that you can build upon in your writing? You can also take a piece that you're already writing and say, I'm going to build out a schedule for a day in this piece, whether it's a fiction piece and you want to do that for your characters or just do that for your timeline, or it can be like the essay, it could be the recipe prompt that Alex did. You can think, okay, what's a schedule of my day of baking, or a schedule of doing this recipe? And again, it just kind of helps give us a different angle to our writing and maybe pulls out little things that we wouldn't have thought about in a first draft. So we're going to take a minute to do two things, and this is the first time I'm going to have you pause in this video. So we're going to pause and do two things. First, decide what day you'd like to schedule out. Is it a school day? Is it a summer day? Is it a significant day? Is it a day in a piece of writing? Or, you know, whatever you think this prompt is pulling you towards. Then we're going to, in this pause, write out that schedule. So decide the day. I'm really like conscientious of this, son. Schedule the day, or decide the day, then schedule. And again, schedule can be what you decide it to be. If the day that you've picked out kind of has a vague, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey type schedule that's not really concrete, you can do something like, okay, this is kind of the wake up, the morning, the mid-morning, the noonish, and you could just block out your schedule like that. It could also be a day where you find it is very time stamp oriented. So you have, okay, this is the time that I woke up. This is the time that I did this morning routine, and then writing out the morning routine. This is my commute. And so you could do those time stamps as well. So we're going to go ahead and pause, write, come back to this video, and I'll talk about what the next part of the prompt is. So for the next part of this prompt, we are going to take the schedule that we wrote. I just have one kind of started because I would like to finish this video in a decent amount of time and get it posted. And also because I found myself being called to write about something that needs more time to write about. It's something that I had not envisioned that I would write about, but as I was talking through this prompt, it's the thing that my brain kept on bringing up that apparently I need to write about at this time. So for the sake of allowing it the space that it needs, I'm just going to stop for now. And I think I stopped at like 8 o'clock because this is a day where a lot happened in the first 2 hours of the day. And in order to give the rest of the day its proper meaning, it's just a schedule that's going to take a lot of time. So the second part of this, wherever you're at, maybe you're like me and you're like, man, I just spent some time and this is as far as I can get. Wherever you are, that's fine. I want to talk about the second part of this prompt, and there's a second part and a third part. And the second part is looking through what we've already written and considering what is already there. And this was originally done for argument writing because that's what this C3WP program focused on, is argument writing. And so the question that we ask the students after they do this schedule is, where is there potential for an argument in your day? Because argument is everywhere, and there's a lot of lead into that, but this is part of a conversation with students of how do we see arguments in our life. So for example, I have a section, you can't really see too well, but when I leave my house to go to my school, I actually commute. I commute from a small town to a big city. And I think that's a place that could have a lot of arguments, like I choose to drive the 2-lane highway versus the larger interstate that is also close by. And I do that for a couple of reasons. And I have an argument for that. And there also could be an argument of choosing to live in a different place from where I teach. And that sometimes can pose a lot of questions for people. And so that's something that I might decide, okay, there's an argument for why I do that. And so I'm going to talk about that. And then I also could create an argument for the fact that I and technically 60% of my town commute out to different places. And there is not a mass transport system really at all. We have a county-wide transit that you can call and schedule, and they only work certain times, and that's usually reserved for homebound people who aren't able to drive for different reasons. And so like I could start talking about mass transit. That could be my argument. So if you are looking at more the essay side of this and want to do that style of writing, you can go through and say, like, yeah, where's my argument here? Where are moments in my day that have topics that I have something to say about? The other way you can do this second part, and so for those of you who are doing more creative writing, could do kind of a side writing segment where you look through the moments of your day and you say, where is there the possibility for more writing, or what moments in my day in the schedule are calling me to write more? And then you can just kind of make notes, or you can do a second page where you name that moment and start writing down. So I have a moment in the morning on this particular day where I decided to drink orange juice, and that actually, there's a reason for that. And that is something that carries a lot of weight in this day. And so I could choose to go back and write and do a side writing about that moment of choosing to drink orange juice and what that action really held for me for that day. So again, I'm going to ask you to pause, go back through and think about what are moments in my day that either have a topic that maybe there's an argument, maybe there's something that I need to say there, or what are moments in my day that are calling me to write more? And go ahead and take a few minutes to write, and then we'll do part number 3 of this prompt. So part 3, this one doesn't take as much writing. Maybe it does. I don't know. It's always interesting what causes us to just go on a writing rampage. Rampages can be good. And so this part 3, when we're working with argument writing, so what I would say to my students, and this is how this was demonstrated to me, is we go back through that list and then we kind of add a third filter or a third way of thinking, a third lens, which is what is researchable. So if I'm looking at writing an essay in particular, and I have looked at my days and say, like, this is where I have an argument. This is where there's some rationale, some reasoning. I have a stance on this. I believe a certain way about why I choose what I do in my day. The question that I can ask myself is, what about that topic or is researchable? So for my example, when I said that I have a claim, I have a stance on my choices in driving, there's rationale for that, or I have some beliefs about what the mass transit system could look like where I live, I would take that and say, what research can I do? I could even just write an R next to it. That's why this can go very short. It doesn't have to be in this moment, the time where I go out and find that research. I can just mark a little R because I know that there's research and some proposals and some ideas out there from other people who have talked about specifically mass transit in rural areas. And so I would just put a little R there and maybe make some notes about where I could potentially go. And the reason that this is the third thing for this prompt for students in argument writing is because the focus needs to be for our students sometimes. There needs to be other voices involved in this argument. So we don't necessarily have to do that as writers, but again, for some of you who I saw in your introductions that you're interested in writing those kind of more informative, expository mixed with memoir and experience pieces, those chunks of research can be really powerful in getting our point across, mixing the experience we have with the expert voices out there. So you can go ahead and pause the video and do that. The other way that you could take this third lens is the writerly way or the writerly moment of thinking, I need to gather more before I write more. So this could be some kind of research because we know that research can be conducted for the purposes of multiple different kinds of writing in genres. And so that could look like different things to different writers, what that gathering process is. Maybe you just make little notes of stars of, okay, I need to do this before I dive back into this topic. Maybe it's, I need to take a walk. I need to slow down and listen to my 5 senses. I need to really build a moment of description. In order to do that, I need to re-engage with the space in which I experienced this thing. And yeah, it could be a number of things, a conversation. Maybe you need to ask a question to somebody to get kind of their perspective before you write. So for this third part of the prompt, you can go ahead and just star where are areas from this writing that you think I now need to gather more. I need to go on my little writerly scavenger hunt and consider what else I need to pull in before I run with this topic. So go ahead and pause the video, look through what you've already written, what you've already thought through today, and consider where is research possible, or what does it look like to gather more for the sake of this piece of writing. So that's the prompt for today. Maybe it got your juices flowing, maybe it took you somewhere. Again, thank you to C3WP and Beth Reimer for this original demonstration that passed on this prompt to me and to my students into my craft and practice. And I look forward to next week seeing where our writing has been taking us.